All right, let's dive right into this explainer and track the fascinating and honestly pretty complex evolution of one of the modern world's most influential figures. We're looking at Bill Gates. Obviously, it's a name we all know, right? But the story of how he actually got to where he is today and where his legacy is ultimately heading is just full of incredible contradictions and some really unexpected turns. To ground us here, let's just look at this staggering number. As of February 2026, Bill Gates commands a net worth of $107.7 billion. According to Forbes, that makes him the 18th wealthiest individual on the entire planet. Now, for decades, of course, he was the undisputed richest person in the world. I mean, he actually became the first person to ever reach $100 billion way back in 1999. But, there's this fascinating paradox at the very heart of his fortune. Gates has famously stated that virtually all his wealth will go to charity and that his children will inherit less than 1% of it. So despite this immense, just mind-boggling amount of wealth, he plans to give nearly all of it away. It really leaves us to wonder, who is the real Bill Gates? Is he this ruthless business tycoon or a selfless global savior? To answer that, we're going to map his life across four distinct eras. Today, we'll cover the making of Microsoft, a philanthropic pivot, climate and future tech, and finally, controversies and public image. Part 1. The making of Microsoft. Let's look at those early years. His meteoric rise was, well, it was absolutely breathtaking. Back in 1975, he's a Harvard dropout co-founding Microsoft with his childhood friend Paul Allen. Flash forward to 1980, they land a crucial partnership with IBM. Then, in 1985, the first retail version of Windows is released, and boom, by 1987, at just 31 years old, Gates becomes the youngest self-made billionaire in history. Talk about a breathless ascent. So, what was the actual catalyst for that massive success? It all circles back to MS-DOS. When IBM needed an operating system for their new personal computer, Microsoft delivered. But here is the genius part. He licensed MS-DOS to IBM for a one-time fee of $50,000, but he did not transfer the copyright. That incredible foresight paved the way for Microsoft to license MS-DOS to literally every other PC clone maker out there, making them the absolute dominant player in a rapidly booming market. He paired this razor-sharp business acumen with a notoriously intense, frankly combative management style. He was a deeply demanding boss. He was actually known to just interrupt presentations by shouting, "That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard." He'd relentlessly grill his program managers, forcing them to defend their proposals until he was fully 100% convinced. For him, competition was highly personal. Moving on to part 2, a philanthropic pivot, a shift towards saving the world. Over time, Gates actually stepped back from Microsoft's day-to-day operations to focus that exact same intense drive on global issues. Through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, he completely shifted his life's work. This foundation is just massive, organized into key areas like global health, global development, and global policy. Get this, he has channeled over $60 billion of his personal wealth into massive global efforts aimed at totally eradicating infectious diseases like polio, tuberculosis, and malaria. And you know what? He approaches this philanthropy with the exact same hands-on intensity he brought to software. He goes to some pretty extreme lengths to raise awareness for unglamorous causes. Take global sanitation, for instance. He helped fund the Omni Processor, which is a machine that treats sewage sludge. And to prove it actually worked, he literally drank water reclaimed from human feces on national television. He even challenged late-night TV host Jimmy Fallon to taste test it. No way you'd forget that. But beyond his own foundation, he actively wants to change how all ultra-rich individuals operate. Back in 2010, alongside Warren Buffett and his then-wife Melinda, he launched the Giving Pledge. This is a massive, sweeping commitment by billionaires to donate at least half of their wealth to charity. He's out there actively recruiting the world's richest people to give away their fortunes rather than just hoarding them. Now for part 3, climate and future tech, a look into his techno-optimism. Now, you might be surprised to learn that beyond software and vaccines, his investments actually take a very physical form. Through his investment firm, Cascade Investment, he is the single largest private owner of farmland in the United States. He owns an astounding 242,000 acres spread across 19 different states. It's a real shift in focus.
Simultaneously, he's pouring billions of dollars into high-risk, carbon-free energy startups. He firmly believes that rapid, aggressive technological innovation is literally the only way to truly beat climate change. We're talking backing companies like TerraPower, which is designing next-generation nuclear reactors, Breakthrough Energy, which funds green startups, and Carbon Engineering, an outfit working on pulling CO2 directly out of the air. Basically, he is betting his fortune on science saving the planet. Which brings us to our final section, Part 4, Controversies and Public Image. It's truly fascinating to see how the media narrative around him has violently shifted back and forth over the years. Look at the 1990s. During the browser wars, he was heavily criticized as a tyrannical technocrat and a ruthless robber baron. Then, fast forward to the 2010s, and his image had morphed completely. The media was suddenly celebrating him as this huggable philanthropist and a saintly savior. But that pristine image has been repeatedly challenged by some pretty significant controversies. Back in 1998, he faced federal antitrust lawsuits where his videotaped deposition was widely mocked as evasive. Much later, in 2021, reports surfaced of a Microsoft board investigation into an alleged inappropriate relationship with a staffer. And, of course, that very same year, his high-profile divorce from Melinda French completely shocked the world. Furthermore, one of the absolute most damaging hits to his reputation has been his admitted association with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Gates later acknowledged this was a massive error in judgment, stating on the record, "It was a huge mistake to spend time with him, to give him the credibility of being there." According to our sources, the details of that association are highly complex. Their interactions began in 2011, reportedly to discuss philanthropy, and Gates admitted to flying on Epstein's private jet. This connection definitely caused friction. Reports indicate Melinda actually cited Epstein in her 2019 divorce consultations. And most recently, in 2026, unsealed documents revealed draft emails where Epstein allegedly attempted to threaten or blackmail Gates over an extramarital affair. Allegations that Gates' representatives vehemently denied as completely false and just a blatant attempt to entrap him. And, even his recent philanthropy has drawn heavy fire. In October 2025, Gates released a memo stating that climate change does not pose an existential threat to civilization when compared to immediate pressing issues like poverty and healthcare. As our sources point out, this memo was harshly criticized by climate scientists who argued he had his priorities completely backwards. Meanwhile, it was paradoxically praised by climate deniers, which then forced Gates into a corner where he had to publicly clarify his stance. So as we look at the totality of this explainer, surveying the incredible peaks and the undeniable valleys of his life, we are really left to wonder, pioneer, savior, or tech supervillain? Which version of Bill Gates will history actually remember? Or perhaps is the truth that he's inextricably all three? Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive. Keep asking those big questions, and I'll see you on the next explainer.